What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Marshall Time, episode 34. Got a lot to talk about. Of course, March Madness is in full effect. We can talk about what we've seen so far. A lot to talk about when it comes to that, but obviously some breaking news that has been dropping over the last last night, especially in the NBA, and also today with the women's game. But first off, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, bro. How you doing?
Can't complain, can't complain. Well, let's talk about the first story that broke last night. This was a topic and something that you wanted to talk about, so let's start off with that.
Yeah, so some crazy information that was revealed to the public about Jonte Porter, who was actually the brother of Michael Porter for the Nuggets. Jonte Porter is a player for the Toronto Raptors, but the NBA is investigating him for betting irregularities. Um so basically, what he's being accused of or was being assumed is that he or other people bet on him to go over on certain props, and he didn't cover those props because he either left the games early or he just didn't do it. So now it's been sparking a big debate in the NBA and the NCAA. Just to get into details, from what I read, there's two games that the NBA looked at in specific. The first game was against the Clippers, which was January 26th. He only played 4 minutes, um, in which he only recorded. He didn't have any points, no 3 pointers. He had one assist and 3 rebounds, in which he exited the game stating he had an eye injury. But if you watch the game, he didn't injure his eye. You didn't see anything happen to his eye. The second time was on March 20th, which more recently against the Kings, where he played 2 minutes and he exited the game early saying he had an illness. So, what's being reported is, the odds makers, the sports books, they saw two bets that were placed on him that were kind of uncommon. Usually when people bet on these sports picks, the average person that's not deep into the betting, game, they're going to bet on the star players, the known players, players that they know. I'll bet on Jason Tatum to score 30 points tonight. I'm not betting on Jonte Porter to score 6 points, 7 points, whatever the bets may be. So yeah, they more and more is coming out. I even heard that. Well, I saw that actually that he has a Discord where he gives people betting, not betting advice, but more so he gives them advice on stocks, what stocks to buy. But
Hmm.
it's rumored that he actually has a premium check that you can pay for, and that's
Hmm.
where he's telling people to take NBA bets. And some people have said that on a couple of occasions he said to bet on me tonight. I'm not going to go over my crazy. Yeah, so this has sparked a crazy debate, man. I don't know what the punishment is going to be. I think I know what it's going to be. I don't know what they're going to do exactly. I feel like if they find out that he actually has been betting on himself and telling other people to bet on himself, and he's been, going under on his props on purpose, he's banned for life from the NBA. I think that's what's going to happen. If they find out that he wasn't betting on himself or whatever, I don't know what's going to happen. He's going to face some time the consequence because they have to make a stand. They have to make a statement here, especially Adam Silver. I know his whole thing is trying to keep up with the integrity of the game, and sports betting has become so popularized over the past few years. It's so easily done now. It's legal and it's getting more and more legal in every states. So I don't know, man. It's a crazy situation. It just makes you
Yeah,
think. It makes you think who else is doing this? Because I know he's not the only one. Because you watch some of
of
these
course.
games, you like, bro, it's no way you went out there and didn't get this many points when I see you do this on average. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation. Obviously, it's just hilarious because the was it DraftKings?
I don't even know if they said the sports book
What
because
book was?
I think one of them was DraftKings from a screenshot I seen. I think it was an $80,000
Yeah,
bet on DraftKings.
they said Jonte Porter. Hold on, who's put? They saw the name Jonte Porter and immediately said, "All right," like because the
Yeah,
average person doesn't even know who that is.
yeah. One
You know what I mean? That's
yeah,
the funny thing.
one bookie reported they told ESPN that people were trying to do whatever they could to bet on Jonte Porter one night, and then they did it again another night. So that's what raised their attention.
Yeah,
Come on, you guys are
yeah,
Jonte Porter.
yeah. But that's the hilarious part about it. And you see the video of him trying to fake that something was wrong with his eye. I think they were trying to put some eye drops in his eye.
Right.
Um, it's funny, like talking about the consequences of it. It's easy to give Jonte Porter a lifetime ban, right? What happens when it's a big name in the face of the league? Then what, right? The NBA wants to talk about the integrity and making a statement, but okay, Jonte Porter doesn't really, in the grand scheme of things, when it comes to the NBA, is not leaving much of a mark. Like I said, most people don't even know what team he played for, that he was even a thing in the NBA. And so the interesting thing is what would happen if it's a major name, a major player that has actual stock. The NBA has actual stock in when it comes to popularity and TV ratings and selling jerseys and sponsorships. Like that's a next level situation. Um, I mean, the obvious thing is it's foolish. It's a foolish thing for you to be a major pro athlete, and you're betting on games that you're actually involved in. Like that's just foolish. I don't care who you are. You can say Jonte Porter is a no name when it comes to the NBA, and his contract isn't comparable to Scotty Barnes or whatever. But at the end of the day, your contract in relation to the average person, you shouldn't have to be doing this. And so to me, and this is a overarching theme when it comes to this, it's not a money issue with Jonte Porter. To me, it's just a conversation that we all need to have, and that I think we're going to actually have to have as a whole when it comes to this right here and how much sports betting is growing into be sort of like in a new epidemic. Um, the League Pass, NBA League Pass now, I'm not sure if you saw it, fans will be able to actually place bets. They're going to be a screen, I guess, while you're watching the game. There's going to be a screen of the lines. You can actually place bets while you're watching these games, right? And so these leagues are all involved with these sports books, right? ESPN has a ESPN bet now. There's money involved. And so let's not act shocked that, oh, people are betting, players are betting. It's not right, obviously. That's the trade-off. If you're a player in this league, can't bet on games. That shouldn't be hard to understand or figure out. Like, to me, that's a fair trade-off. If I'm in the NBA, if I'm in the NFL, I'll be okay not betting, you know? But once again, this is something that can be easily addicting. And that's why they have those in fine print or in these commercials. They'll say, if you have a problem, call this number, reach out. There's a hotline, because gambling can be an addiction and it's serious. And so to me, that's the larger issue here, how far reaching this is and how easy. I mean, you look on Twitter, outside of the X's and O's and the player conversation, a lot of the conversation and jokes is from the betting side of things. Like, I'm putting money on you and you're not reaching the level that I've put you on. Like, um, to me, that's what this conversation is really all about. Um, but once again, these leagues are making money off of it as well. Their hands aren't totally clean. It is what it is. And so, will he have a lifetime ban if he's proven to be guilty? Probably so, but it's easy to give Jonte Porter a lifetime ban. You know, we'll see if it was a big name like Pete Rose back in the day with Major League Baseball, he had the lifetime ban, right? And so, what would happen in the NBA? Like, to me, that is interesting. And are we close to seeing that? I wouldn't be shocked, honestly. But it's going on. I mean, we saw it with the ref Tim Donaghy years ago, right? A college player in the 90s for Arizona State got caught up in that. Um, and so it's happening because these athletes are just like us. They have the same vices, they have the same interests as us. They just are put on a pedestal. So they're not immune to getting caught up in gambling. They're not. Yeah, that's my thought on it.
Yeah, and this is just crazy because I even saw that at college now. College is looking in college basketball, men's college basketball specific, is
Hmm.
looking to get betting banned from their sport totally. So they're trying to get it, off of all the sports books. That way, it's no even room for error when it comes to that.
Hmm.
So I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy. It's a crazy situation.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, but yeah, you can't be can't be Jonte Porter and think automatically, you being a player at the level of Jonte Porter, if there's a lot of movement going on in these sports books for you, come on, you got to know better than that. Like you can't. Yeah, you're just not going to get away with that. You just this is not going to happen. We've seen too many examples where certain players or teams are getting red flagged for different reasons. Like we can't. You got to know better. The other story today that I noticed on Twitter was causing a little conversation was Caitlin Clark, Ice Cube, and the big, the big three on three league that he has apparently is offering Caitlin Clark a $5 million deal. Let me see if I can pull up the tweets from Ice Cube. But yeah, Caitlin Clark obviously is the conversation right now for college basketball for the men's and women's game, which she's done the all-time leading scorer in college basketball. Just her game has just been fun to watch over the years. So this is Ice Cube saying on social media, we intended the offer to remain private while Caitlin Clark plays for the championship, but I won't deny what's now already out there. Big Three made a historic offer to Caitlin Clark. Why wouldn't we? Caitlin is a generational athlete who can achieve tremendous success in the Big Three. It was first reported by TMZ, and Ice Cube just confirmed it pretty much. And so my initial thought was like, oh, this is dope, right? Like this is, you know, I looked at it as a positive thing for the women's game because Ice Cube saying, "Hey, we're going to give $5 million to this women's college basketball player," and so in my mind, it's like the wheels start moving. I'm like, who else could be next? Could it be Juju? Could it be Paige? Like these different women's college, these college stars. Like who could be next when it comes to this pipeline that Ice Cube? Maybe he has a vision for that, right? And just the exposure when it comes to that, and just the forward thinking move that this would be. But of course, as with anything, there's also going to be criticisms. And so there was talk on Twitter about how pretty much Ice Cube is trying to take over the limelight of the women's game and downplaying the WNBA and the overseas leagues that the pro players have to go to once the W season is over. And for me, I just shook my head because it's like, number one, Ice Cube is a businessman. He has no responsibility for the W, these overseas leagues, or for that matter, the NCAA. He is about the Big Three and Ice Cube and what he has going on. And so for me to think that Ice Cube should have some kind of moral compass or standing, I don't put that responsibility on any person who has a major business. Let's not like let's not act naive. Since when is big business all of a sudden having this moral high ground? And so I just shake my head. I'm like, look, this is a business move. Ice Cube is a businessman. He has been forever, from music to movies, and now with basketball. Nothing's changing. And so he's offering $5 million to Caitlin Clark. How he's gonna give her that money, how that contract would even look, I have no idea. But what I do know is it's driving the conversation for women's basketball in a sense, regardless of if he even cares about the women's game. What I do know is this is causing the conversation to move forward and asking questions about, okay, hey, who else could be next? Who else could take this offer? Could it be a Juju Watkins? Let me watch some more of these games and see who else could have more opportunities like this. It is what it is. It's business. That's me. That's I just wanted to start off with that.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. First of all, this is a good opportunity for both of them because you think about Ice Cube, he started the Big Three a few years ago, and a lot of people didn't know like how long it would last, and it's been going strong. You know what I mean? You got former pros coming in. I know they got some guys that maybe not made it to the NBA, but are pros overseas somewhere. They got game come in and play. So it's awesome to see. But you adding a name like Caitlin Clark, that's huge because for one, it's going to push the women's game forward possibly because we know the struggle for the WNBA players, right? A lot of their complaints come from they're not getting the same amount of money as NBA players, which is true. So they have to go do other things like play overseas during their off season. Well, here's an opportunity right here. I'm giving a player that's primed to be the next star in the WNBA. I'm giving her $5 million to come play what I think they said it was 8 regular season games and 2 playoff games or something like that. It's not even a
Mm-hmm.
lot of games for $5 million. That's a no brainer, and it's the Big Three, bro. It's a 3-on-3 league. It's half court. It's not too much wear and tear on her body, and she's gonna be able to showcase her talent against former NBA players. Like that's awesome. Um, I don't see where the hate is. I don't see. I don't. I mean, I get. People may be jealous. It's always gonna be envy when somebody's doing something successful, something good. But I'm not a fan of it. I feel like everybody should just be happy for both sides. You know, this is an opportunity, good opportunity for Caitlin Clark. It's a good opportunity for the big three. It's a good opportunity for women's basketball because there's a lot of women hoopers that are coming up, especially in the college game. Like the college women's game is lit right now. Like the WNBA, you know, I don't watch it. I don't watch it. And but when some of these girls get there, I'm probably going to start tuning in more because I see their game in college and I'm intrigued. You know, it's exciting, it's fun. So I feel like it's a good idea for both sides.
Yeah, and like I said, it's whatever the motive of Ice Cube is. It's not. I don't care. It's not for me to judge that. It's a business at the end of the day. That's what I know it is. So of course, is it a bad move for him to say Caitlin Clark is the biggest name in college basketball? Period. Who's the most notable college basketball player this season? Caitlin Clark. Why wouldn't I have that
Biggest basketball
mind?
player on the planet. Not even there
Why
yet.
wouldn't I have? Why wouldn't I have that mindset? Her game is fun to watch. It's going to be able to attract so many people to the game that may not be fully aware of the women's game and say, okay, there's Caitlin Clark. Let me pay attention to see who they're playing next. Oh, we got Paige Beckers. There's a Juju Watkins. There's an Angel Reese, like Cam Brink, like from Stanford. Like there's so many great women's basketball players, right? And so it has to start somewhere, right? Caitlin Clark, it just so happens that right now she's the talk. She's the major talk for college basketball right now. Um, And so salute the Ice Cube for having this mindset and focus. Like, hey, let me offer it to her. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm shocked that no shoe company has even thought about, giving Caitlin Clark a shoe deal before she even reaches the pro ranks. Start that now. Start that branding now, right? Um, but I don't know if you've noticed the Caitlin Clark conversation has been kind of divisive in many ways over the last couple of years for different reasons. That's probably another conversation for another time, but um, it's just interesting. I have different thoughts on just the conversation when it comes to women's basketball. I love where the game's going, um, but it's nuanced. It's nuanced, and sometimes the conversation and the commentary surrounding it is kind of there's a lot of negativity that comes from it, in which I think kind of takes away from what's really the positivity that is really happening around the game on all levels and the growth of the game and the skill level and just the attention, the media attention that it's getting. Um, but we don't need to dive deeper into that right now. But I just wanted to say any hate when it comes to this is just, it's crazy to me. It's a business move. Let's not act like these businessmen and businesswomen all of a sudden have some moral compass and they're trying to look out for outside things other than their own business interests because Ice Cube does not have that responsibility. He has nothing but responsibility to himself, his family, and his business interests. Bottom line. So, and if this offer is real, you're not going to take it? Anybody who's hating on that contract. How many games? 8 games, 5 million? Straight up? Anybody who's hating, you're not going to play 8 games for 5 million. Lie to me and say you're
That's why.
not.
That's
Lie
why.
to me.
That's why they're hating.
Please.
Because it's
Please
not.
lie to me. Because if you got that offer, you'd be signing that deal. Please tell me you wouldn't. Lie to me. Please. You know what I'm saying? But once again, and who knows, maybe this would spark um, more women in getting involved with the big three, right? Maybe a branch off league with the big three and a sponsors. Like, I don't know. But I'm just saying the door has to be opened by somebody, right? Um, because how much are WNBA players getting paid? It's not as much as that contract offer, right? Um, but that's another conversation. Um, Sticking to college basketball, Sweet 16 starting up tomorrow. Um, Initial thoughts. What have you noticed so far? I think it's pretty much been chalk as far as the bracket. It hasn't been like crazy upsets compared to last year. All the 1 and 2 seeds are pretty much they're still in it. Um, so I look at the bracket that we did on the show. I had Houston. I switched it out for Kentucky last minute, and I had UConn beating Kentucky. So my national champ, I said, you know what? I just didn't trust any other team besides UConn to actually play consistent. So I said, you know what? I can trust UConn. I don't trust any of these other teams. Houston almost folded against A&M, by the way. Um, so I went with UConn last minute, and I think that's going to hold true. But to me, the biggest thing that I've noticed is just the lack of execution and poise from some of these teams, and it's noticeable. The bad shots, turnovers, players who would normally hit foul shots are just they can feel the pressure. That moment's different. Like we talk about the big stage, it's real, especially for the college level, for college kids, it's different. And so if the coaching isn't there, if the experience isn't there, if the composure isn't there, you're done. And we saw that. We've seen it many times. And that's why UConn is still in it. That's why Gonzaga is still in it. Like these teams are proven, they're poised, they have experience. To me, that's the biggest takeaway I've noticed after the first couple rounds.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. Just you can tell the experience and the age gap is a real thing in the college game right now. Jay Wright said it best. He said, the days of having a lot of freshmen on your team and going far is over. That
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky game when they lost, who did they lose to again?
Oakland.
Oakland. When they lost to Oakland, terrible execution by them, and a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
are blaming Calipari, and it's like, look, some of these decisions that these players were making were terrible. Like some of the Rob Dillingham was taking some crazy shots. Reed Shepard was scared.
Mm-hmm.
We got, I believe when they were down 2-1, I don't know who it was. It might have been Jay Edwards or it might have been DJ Wagner. They sagged off of the corner three to help ball side when it's like you don't want to give up the three. If anything, just give up the two. You're down 3 or 2. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just little things like that. So the experience factor is a huge part. Another thing I'm noticing is Purdue. They've been the most dominant so far, and I'm gonna give them credit for that. I like when these tournaments come up. I look at what team is the most dominant around this time, right? Because as a Villanova fan, on our two last championship runs, we were the most dominant team, until it got down to like the Elite Eight, Final Four,
Mm-hmm.
area. So they've been winning games. Let me double check the score. They beat Utah State 106-67. That's pure domination. On
Mm-hmm.
Friday, they beat Grambling 78-50, pure domination. Now, people may say, look, they're playing the 16th seed, they're playing the 8th seed. We've seen Purdue struggle and lose to teams that, weren't the best.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And they're not the only ones dominating. North Carolina's been dominant. Um, Iowa State, they haven't been as dominant, but their first game, they were pretty dominant. Marquette has looked good. So, some of these teams that, we thought were going to be dominant going in, they're still holding it up. You know what I mean? They're still carrying that weight. So it's good to see that. Um, Houston, the Houston game, it was interesting to me because it wasn't like a dominant Houston game that people would expect, but at the same time, that was a tough game for them to win. I believe I saw a stat somewhere that said they were like out rebounded. They lost a turnover battle. They were in big foul trouble. They lost a free throw battle. They lost like a lot of major categories, and they still found a way to win. So that says a lot about their resilience as a team and their focus as a team. So it's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see these next, the Sweet 16. This is where it really gets critical, man.
Mm-hmm.
That margin for error gets lower. These seeds don't matter as much. Like Clemson and
Mm-hmm.
Arizona play each other, a 2 seed versus 6 seed. Clemson can go out there and beat Arizona. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be that close. So I'm just excited to see. I hope Arizona and Carolina wins because that matchup that we talked about, that Caleb Love UNC matchup,
Yeah.
that's coming up. But Carolina has a test versus Alabama, and I'm gonna give Alabama some credit too. I don't know if I had them going to the Sweet 16. I think I had them winning round one.
I
I
I
think
had Grand Canyon beating Bama.
yeah, I had Grand Canyon beating them. And shout out to Tyon Grant Foster too. He was balling this tournament.
Yeah, we
I think
got.
it's
We, I,
kids.
I was gonna bring them up too next segment.
Yeah, so shout out to him, man. But it's gonna be interesting to see, how this Sweet 16 plays out this weekend. But that's what stood out to me so far.
Yeah, shout out to my Tar Heels. I'm the Michigan State game kind of. I was kind of worried because with Tom Izzo and the Spartans, you just be prepared for a tough going, but I think they handled that well. They answered the call. Um, Alabama is not going to be easy, but at this point, like you just talked about, at this point, the 16 best teams that are left, no game is going to be easy. You're gonna have to beat great teams if you have if you want to make the Final Four, right? And so there's no excuses at this point. But just I wrote down the question: UConn versus the field, and honestly, Purdue has been dominant. North Carolina's doing their thing. Illinois has been good.
Marquette.
Arizona's good. Marquette is good. Shout out to Tennessee. You know, um, I had them in my. The only change, I forgot I had them in my original Final Four, so I didn't change. Only thing I changed was the Houston pick. So I'm shocked because usually I don't trust Tennessee, but having a Dalton Connect, even when he struggled last game, he came through. Um, Creighton making big shots against Oregon, showing the poise. Shout out to the Big East and ACC. First off, that's another thing, another storyline. But I have to go with Connecticut. Like, remember when Villanova had Jay Wright, and there was just a way that they played. There was a standard that you just knew, and that level of execution. And I know it's still early because they did one last year. We'll see if they can do it again. But I'm starting to get that same feeling with Coach Hurley and what he's doing with that program. The program has always been good. They've always produced NBA talent and have won. But now with this new era, with this current era of college basketball, what UConn could do potentially, I think they have something special going on because the coaching's there, the NBA talent is there, the balance is there. And it's not like when the guys get there, surefire NBA talent. Like Jordan Hawkins wasn't a household name, right? When he first got there, nobody said, "Oh, this is a lottery pick. This is a first round pick." But these guys develop like a Mikal Bridges, like a Dante DiVincenzo of Villanova, like a Josh Hart. So it's the ability to get these guys who are really good high school players get into this college level. Let's develop them. They can spend a couple years here, 3 years maybe. They're going to be winners and they're going to be ready for the pros. I'm seeing that with Connecticut right now, with Donovan Clingan, Stefan Castle, like Tristan Newton. Like, may not be all stars in the league, but these guys will be legit pros for years down the line. And how UConn is able to execute and beat you in many ways. For a lot of these teams, you know what their weakness is, right? Houston, the offense can get nasty, right? Duke, I question their toughness sometimes. Purdue, yeah, we know Edie's there, but it can get spooky with those guards. Sometimes you never know. If they really get tested, can they answer the call? UNC, how's the depth? But with Connecticut, it's like I really can't point out that weakness that Isaiah is going to do them in. It would just have to be an off night for them to get them down, which can happen. They have two legit bigs who can play. They got playmakers. They have shooting. They have defense. Like, to me, UConn is the team I would put my trust in as far as the teams that are left. Anything can happen. We know this, but I trust the UConn standard of play and execution that I more so than any other team.
Yeah, I agree with that. They're definitely the most poised team out of the few. But I'm still my championship is still alive. Houston and UConn.
Hmm.
And in a game like that, man, I might go with Houston. I think I picked UConn on one bracket, Houston on another. Um, Houston, like I said, they scared me, but at the same time, you look at everything that was going against them. They showed a lot of toughness and resilience, man. That says a lot because we see a lot of those teams in that situation fold right up. Oh, we're in overtime with a team that's not supposed to be this close with us. We're probably going to lose. That's how upsets happen. But they said, nah, we're going to take care of business, and that's what they did. So, big shout out to Duke too, man. I know you're a Carolina fan. I know, Duke's not your cup of
James
tea.
Madison, they failed. They failed me. It's all
Hey,
good.
they went out there and killed it. Shout out to Jared McCain. I believe he set a record for most threes by a freshman in the
He
tournament.
did his thing. He
That
did
was
his thing.
tough.
He did his
We're going to
thing.
see how far they keep it going too, man.
They
It's
got
gonna,
Houston next, right?
nah, they play.
I
Let's
thought it
see.
was not Houston.
Nah, not yet.
Not yet.
Let me check.
Oh, they play.
They do play Houston Friday night. It's gonna be a tough
Mm,
one. That might be the best game of the weekend. That's gonna be a tough
listen,
one. I'm going with Houston, but that's gonna be a tough one.
Houston can make it rough. can make it an ugly game. We'll see how Duke responds. I'm interested to see how they respond.
I
Obviously, I like
want
Houston.
I want to see how far NC State can go. So they got a tough one against Marquette, but we know how
I'm gonna go
Burns
with
is.
Marquette.
Yeah, but Burns has been doing this thing, man. He's fun to watch.
He has. He has.
He's a fun player to watch. So we going to say,
He has. Now Houston Duke is gonna be fun. UConn San Diego State is gonna be. I think that could be interesting too. The rematch of last year's that's
yeah,
rematch of last year's title game. That's not a that's not gonna be like some kind. You can't look over that one. San Diego State's tough. They're really tough.
yeah.
UNC Alabama. Shout out to Mark Sears. Speaking of Alabama, there were a couple players that I've noticed over the course of the first couple rounds. When I watch him, he gives me like a Jalen Brunson type of vibe. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
not overly tall, not overly athletic, but he's crafty. Like he'll lull you to sleep, but he's making plays out there. And just watching these first couple rounds, and they say it's a bad draft class, but there's going to be talent all over the place, right? And so, to me, when I look at some of the players that have been playing in the tournament, it's like there's a lot of guys that I see that may not be all stars, but they could be pieces that can complete and be a part of a championship or playoff rotation. Like there's talent here. Um, I looked at the latest mock draft, um, and just to see who's where and where. I would have to double check, but I didn't see Tyon Grant Foster, and I was highly confused. But then I
He's
looked at his age. To me, he's a player that I know they lost to Alabama, but even in that game, like he just jumped out to me. Just his craftiness with the rock. He can shoot it. Like defensively, his athleticism. That's a first rounder to me. And I looked at his age. He's 24 years old. And I'm like, that's why some teams may pass up over him, but it's foolish thinking because these are the same teams that passed up on Jaime Jaquez. And now he's a Miami Heat guy. And we're seeing what he's doing, one of the best rookies in the league. And so you're going to draft a 19-year-old who's going to be out of the league in 2 years versus a guy in Tyon Grant Foster who's clearly a hooper. But you say, oh, he's 24. He doesn't have that high of a ceiling. Well, the word potential has gotten many GMs and coaches fired. And most of these teams, as I said before, have no idea what they're doing. And if you let Tyon Grant Foster slide or Mark Sears, we saw it with Jalen Brunson, like teams overthink this all the time. Like you watch these games and you see the players who jump out at you. Tyon Grant Foster, Mark Sears, who else? I like Jackson Robinson from BYU.
oh yeah.
Like he showed me something. Terrence Shannon from Illinois, he has some off the court issues that he has to deal with a court date. But that's another guy. Like if things, we'll see what happens with that. But that's another guy. He's a little older as well. But I mean, to me, there's plenty of talent that I've seen so far that can crack an NBA rotation if you have the right structure and you have the right vision and opportunity for them. But those are the couple names, Mark Sears and Tyon Grant Foster, that I've seen that I've been impressed with and say, okay, if I had a mid to late first round pick, I would get him. And Tyon Grant Foster, to me, if Tyon Grant Foster was 18 or 19, he'd be a lottery pick.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
If Mark Sears was 6'5", he'd be lotto. So yeah,
All right,
those are just my
said this
thoughts.
stuff before, man. These GMs, they'll learn. They'll learn one day. Some of them will, at least. We will see.
Because like with those type of guys, they've had to carry an offense. They've had to learn how to, do their thing in crucial moments and lead these teams, right? Some of these guys that I've seen in the lottery, I'm just not sold on. I'm really not. Like I like a Dalton Connect from Tennessee, man. Like I see it. Like which leads me to the conversation of Zach Edey. You just talked about Purdue. Zach Edey's been all over the place on these mock boards. He may be lottery in one mock draft. The next, he's a late first rounder. Um, a lot of opinions about him. What do you see from him as far as at the next level?
I I like Zach Edey's game in college. I saw that Shaq just gave him some big praise. Comparing his domination to how Shaq's domination was. But in the NBA, I just don't think that they style of play is tailored for his game. You know what I mean? He has great size, 7'4", but he's 300 pounds. Not the fastest guy. He's not a great jump shooter. We know he has back to the basket game, but his face up game isn't all the way there. his passing isn't the best. So my concern is what's going to be his thing in the NBA. You know, like if you're not a high pick, everybody needs a role to stick in the NBA. What's going to be his role? You can't really say defense because I don't think he's versatile enough to play defense that you need to be. Like we see Wimby, he's 7'4", but he's agile and he's not big and bulky. So you know he can switch on to different offensive players and affect their shots. You know what I mean? He can protect the rim and protect the perimeter. Same with a guy like Embiid. You look at a guy like Jokic, you say his defense isn't the best, but he has elite passing. He can shoot. He has a low post game. He has a face up game. He can handle. You know, I mean, he does multiple things. I feel like Edie isn't versatile enough, and just the style of give it to a big man, let him just go to work. That's not in the game no more. It's just not. That's not the way the NBA is going. If this was, you know, in the '90s or something, sure. But right now, it's just not. It's not that. You know, it's kind of how Jahlil Okafor was. Jahlil Okafor came into the league, was getting buckets, but didn't last long because you know, the league was going away from his game. We see Luca Garza, you know, he was dominating at the college level, and now he's in the NBA now, but he's not doing what he what he was doing in college. You know, he's trying to find a role, and I've seen, you know, they got him working on his shot more. They got him doing other things. So it's going to be interesting to see what Edie. I think he should be in the NBA though, for sure. He should definitely make the league, but I don't think he'll be as dominant as he has been in college. But I would love to see it though. It would be refreshing to see a big man like that.
So you can enjoy Zach Edey for what he does in the college level, but still not think he'll be as good at the NBA level. It's not hating, right? Like I think
Yeah.
that gets lost. What we're doing is we're projecting, and so it's easy for me to see Zach Edey dominate against players who won't make the league most likely as far as the bigs that he goes up against, right? Great player at the college level, 7'4", 300 pounds. Like clearly anybody that watches college ball knows he's the most dominant player in college. But the NBA is a whole different ball game. We've seen a lot of great college players flame out at the next level for different reasons, right? So the question is Zach Edey an NBA player? Clearly, yes, he is. You can't teach size. Is he worth the first round pick? I don't know because I wouldn't draft him in the lottery. Let me say that. Um, Now, in the later first round, it depends on what you're looking for, what your team situation is, what your vision is for him. Because if you draft a guy like Zach Edey, you have to have a plan for him. You can't just say you're big, get out there and figure it out. Is he going to be a situational player just to change up the pace and tempo and to switch up things to a half court grinded out game and just see what he does in limited minutes here and there? Do you want to see him as a starter? Every team situation is different, right? And so, what's his role? What's the team's situation? How are you going to handle him defensively on the other end, right? Because that's a question mark that you gotta answer. And so, for me, I'm not sure how good he'll be at the next level. He should be in the NBA, obviously. Like he'll have a role because of his height. He has a level of skill to go with the size that will make him a respectable pro, I think. But what that ceiling is, it's hard to say right now because we haven't seen a dominant big like him as far as not showing anything outside of the lane, right? Jokic and Embiid and AD are different because they have skills like they can handle the rock, they can shoot it. We haven't seen that from Edie, right? And so because we haven't seen that, because you're not used to doing these things in game action, I can't expect you to all of a sudden turn that switch because you haven't been working on this 4 years of college. We haven't seen any of that. So all of a sudden you get to the league and you're going to just show off a crazy handle or a crazy jump shot. No, it doesn't work like that, right? Um, and so for me, if a team's in the late first round and they see a value in him and have a role for him, take a flyer. But for me, when it comes to a lottery, how I view lottery picks, I gotta expect you to develop into a person who can perform on both ends of the floor consistently. And I just don't see that for Zach Edey right now. Can you develop into that? Of course. But would I waste the top 13 pick on a Zach Edey right now? I wouldn't, personally. That's where I stand.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And it is what it is. I mean, the college game and the NBA is totally different. These mock drafts, a lot of these guys are, you know, it's a lot of names that people aren't going to be really familiar with, and that's just the way the game is. It's all over the place. You got, you know, guys coming from overseas, guys at school, guys in the G League Ignite. So it's going to be interesting to see. But he's definitely. I'm not taking a lottery pick on him either.
We'll see though. Um, the draft will be interesting to see which, because this is a different year because there isn't usually is about two or three guys that we know. Okay, these are the top two, three guys that are going to go. This year is going to be interesting because they're really. I've seen the top two, top three, top picks change throughout the year. Like it constantly changes, right? And so I'm interested to see, you know, who goes where. And we're going to see a lot of teams. We're going to see if they know what they're doing when it comes to scouting and projecting these guys. To close it out, you wanted to have an MVP conversation, so I'll let you take that away.
Yeah, the MVP race, man. We're getting to that. The last few weeks of the season. It's a close race, but I feel like it's not getting a lot of rave as it was last year,
Hmm.
because it's not two big men going at it up against each other. But it's three names that I really would pick. It would be SGA, it would be Jokic, and the third one would be Luca. My pick right now is SGA. He's averaging 30 points. The Thunder are currently the number one seed. And he's just, night in and night out, he's balling, man. He's beating some top teams. He's playing defense. He has a young Thunder team at number one, and they're looking dangerous in the West. So that's my pick for MVP. I wouldn't be mad at Jokic at all. Jokic is Jokic. We already know. We don't even have to really give him a case. Luca though, and it's funny because when you think about it, his numbers, he has 30. I think he's averaging 34, 8, and 8. And I'm not sure. Are the Mavericks? What are they? The fifth seed, maybe the fourth? Are they even that high? I don't know. The West is so crazy. Everybody's like a game and a half apart. It seems. Let's see what seed the Mavericks are. So
The
they're the
Mavericks are six. Yeah, they're sixth place.
so it's like, but we've seen players get MVP. Didn't Russell Westbrook get MVP for the Thunder when they weren't that high of a seed?
Yeah,
He averaged a triple
yeah,
double, but Luka's close to that triple double. I mean, 34, 8, and 8 is crazy.
yeah.
So I don't know. The MVP is just so inconsistent. What the criteria is every year. It's like, yeah, we mix winning with stats, but what do we value more? Do we value the winning more or the stats more? In the grand scheme of things, I am picking SGA for my MVP vote right as of right now, but Luca is very much deserving as anybody. So it's just interesting to me.
Yeah, the conversation is always interesting because okay, if we're is it truly most valuable? Because the conversation can change then if it's most valuable, right? Like who's the one player you take away? And that's Joel Embiid. Right? Sixers are a playing team right now. You know what I'm saying? Like we're seeing how valuable Joel is. Um, but given the story, and I've been big on the Thunder since the start of the year, as far as my thoughts about them and what they've done to be such a young team and to be ahead of schedule, and SGA being the leader of that, that's not easy. In the Western Conference, when you've got legends, literally Hall of Famers, top to bottom in that conference, with LeBron, with Steph, with AD, with KD, with Booker, you know what I mean? And SGA consistently, like the Thunder have been consistent from game one to now. They've they've served the league on notice, like we're here. Now the playoffs are another conversation, but this is a regular season award. And right now, to me, the best story for me has been the Thunder, from the coach to a Jalen Williams, how he's really improved, how Chet Holmgren has really opened up eyes. Like Thunder are a team of the future, no doubt, but right now this is their moment. Right now, the future is now, and so I love what SGA and the Thunder have been doing. Even late last season, you could have, if you really paid attention, you saw the momentum swinging into this. SGA has always been a great talent, but now the team success is coming, and to see that evolution, that growth with him as a leader of that, it'd just be dope. And the Joker is at a point now. He's at that category to where he could win it every year, right? Like there's always a few players that they can win it. You can have like LeBron had that conversation every year. I think Joel Embiid's in that conversation. Giannis is in that conversation. Luka's going to be in that conversation every year. Like there are certain players where you can always make a case for them. But as far as leading a team into new heights and how important he is late game situations, like SGA is that guy for the Thunder. And what they've done this year has been impressive. I think they have the coach of the year. And for me, Jalen Williams to me is the most improved player. Like what he's done from last year to now and is equaling two team success. How he's been a lot of times he's been their best player on some nights. some of these ball games, right? And so, to me, stepping up from last year to this year, being a more of a presence, even more so, they might sweep those awards: MVP, Coach of the Year, um, Most Improved. You can make an argument for Rookie of the Year, but I think Vic, I think it should be Wimby at this point. But we'll see. You never know with the voters. But yes, SGA, SGA for me. I
Yeah, it's
don't.
gonna be yeah, and I would love for him to get that award. Just gearing up for the playoffs, man. I would love to see OKC make a run. I can't really remember a team like since the last Thunder team with KD and Russ and
Mhm.
Harden. Even then, I feel like they had already kind of solidified themselves in the league. This team is like even younger to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
SGA's a little older, but Chet, so he's literally a rookie. Jalen Williams is his second year. I know Dort's
Hmm.
there, but other than that, it's just it's a young coach, young players. If they go on a run, man, that would be pretty historic. So I'm excited to see what they have in store.
Yeah, the West is gonna be fun. We gotta talk about that play-in. That play-in is gonna be crazy because right now it's the Kings at 7, Suns at 8, Lakers at 9, Warriors at 10. It's gonna be some Hall of Famers sitting at home
Yeah,
this summer.
somebody's
It's
not going.
gonna be there's a lot of couple fan bases are gonna be upset. It's gonna be crazy this summer. Um, I think to me entering as we end the regular season soon, to me the story, even with the Eastern Conference, you got the Heat and the Sixers in the play-in. Like that could get interesting. You know what I mean? And so to me, the major storyline is the play-in situations in the Western Conference. I mean, the Mavs are at 6, but the Kings could easily overtake the Mavs. So what if we see Luka and Kyrie in the play-in, right? How crazy would that be? So it'll be interesting. So March Madness gets back going again, Sweet 16 over the next couple of days. Enjoy that, and then over the next few weeks, inching closer and closer to playoff basketball. So we got a lot to talk about. The NFL draft is coming up too, another conversation point. But thank you guys for watching. Don't forget, catch us on YouTube, Apple Music. Appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all next week.
All right, peace out.
All right, bet. All right. I just